please understand the key point I'm making here for those who are listening is, if you are a legislator, a politician, or a scientist or a civil servant saying we've got to do this to save ourselves, honesty demands that if democracy is to thrive, you tell people the truth. It is going to involve significant economic dislocation, as well as those security risks you talk about. I'm driving at this issue that I think is so fundamental, the breakdown of trust because of the breakdown of integrity. Two issues here.
Yeah.
One is, there is absolutely no doubt that in all of our countries, ours included, Britain where we are today, economic growth, i.e. the cost of living, is being impacted by the enormous cost of trying to move to unproven and unreliable weather-dependent energy sources. And the point I'd want to make out of this more than anything else, go back to our earlier conversation, is a simple one. Those who are advocating for these, whether they're Green politicians, Labor politicians, Conservative politicians, ought to be honest and say, this is not going to be cost-free. By very definition, high living standards depend on a lot of cheap energy, and the more cheap energy you've got, the better you're going to live. If you're going to restrict that, if you're going to move in other directions, you're going to impact people's living standards. I think they're beginning to sense that out there, and it's adding to the cynicism. I can tell you something in Australia. Central agencies in government, when we were there, any major policy, any minor policy, let alone a major one, that involved major new expenditure would be thoroughly examined by a cabinet to see what Treasury and Finance were saying about the benefit-cost ratios. What's it going to cost? What are going to be the benefits? Even those central agencies now appear to say, the cost of not acting will be higher than the cost of acting.
Notice without ever a specific figure. They never say
That's the point.
what the cost will be relative. They never give you the absolute figure.
So the people on the street, being lectured at by politicians and by elites, are saying, I'm not so sure about this. I don't know that I can take an informed view because I'm not being told about the cost-benefit ratios. Nothing's been put before me. All I can see is my energy costs are going up and up and up and up. And my prosperity is going down, my cost of living is getting tougher. My point being, it's another breaking of trust. It's another area where I think the elites are setting themselves up for even more disdain from from people everywhere. I think that quite strongly. And I just noticed, you actually had an utterly brilliant line. I don't think I've seen a better one. I just got to read it back to you for the benefit of those who haven't heard you. You talked about the suicidal idea we call net zero, whereby we outsource our carbon emissions to other countries so we can pretend to be green while destroying our manufacturing industries and energy independence. And by the way, on a per capita head, my addition, you have the products done in some other countries, so you look as though your country's bringing its emissions down, then you import them back in. So the accounting system's wrong. If you're really worried about this, we should be accounting for your carbon footprint and mine. That in itself is a frightening prospect. But that's very powerfully put. This is the difference between virtue doing and virtue signalling. And no wonder people are sick to death of saying, well, virtue signalling is all very well, but it's costing me a lot of money.
And the other thing that they haven't yet worked out, which I hope they never do, but I think it's likely that we will, is the tremendous security implications of those decisions.
Yes.
When you have a situation in the UK where we effectively don't manufacture our own steel anymore, I mean, I am not a military expert, but I imagine that's a bit of a problem. Right.
Well, I can tell you it is. I know enough about it from my own times on National Security Committee.